All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you are welcome to the Community Chess Leaderboard series, the semi-finals and the grand finals going down tonight, and we are live, and you are here to watch it. Tonight's match is going to be between Dalot and Hilarious Rook. Dalot and Hilarious Rook, two really amazing players who have grinded. Like, these guys have grinded from the leaderboard series where they faced off more than 16 different players to be able to get to this point across two different tiers. So there's the low tier and there's the high tier. Right now we're having the high tier between Dalot and Hilarious Rook, both players having a very high rating between each other. They've competed, they've grinded from 20 players in the high tier. They were able to grind to the top 8, and from the top 8 now they are in the semi-finals, and both players are going up against each other. It is Dalot versus Hilarious Rook. Dalot on white, Hilarious Rook on black, and hope you guys are going to enjoy this, because I know I'm going to enjoy this. These are two really top players. These are two really smart players. These are two really good players. So okay, it appears there was the match did not start, so probably they are setting up for another lobby, I believe. For some reason, Hilarious Rook took the win. I don't know if that is going to hold. Dalot did not make a move. For some weird reason, yes, why didn't move? Black was victorious. I don't know if that is going to hold, because usually if there isn't movement, then the game doesn't really start. But I don't know what's going on with Dalot right now. He is not making any movements. I don't know if it's network, but okay, he is able to make movements in this game. He starts with his pawn, moving his pawn from C2, sorry, from C7 to C6, and we can see the game. The game is fully in motion. Both players going against each other. Hilarious Rook now on white, Dalot on black. Should be able to flip this. Should be able to flip this. Should be able to flip this screen. Maybe I can't, but yeah, both players going toe to toe, going head to head, and we hope to see a winner. We really do. I do know that both players are really good, and yeah, the game promises to be very exciting. So would love to hear what you think about this matchup. Would love to hear what you think about this fixture. Who is going to win? Who is going to come out victorious? Who is going to who is going to get the job done, basically? These are two really amazing top tier players. So you know the game is going to be tactical, you know the game is going to be technical, you know both players are going to go at it head to head, toe to toe, nobody going for anybody, and we know we're going to get an amazing outcome. So it's the Community Nigerian Chess Championships Leaderboard Series semi-finals and finals. Top tier player. So presently no material advantage, no significant material advantage to any of the players. We do have Hilarious Rook advancing with his pawns. He has his pawn as high as C5, advancing towards the C8 square. Both players just going against each other. Nobody has really made any advanced movements, but here we can see Hilarious Rook already in his opponent's half, but it's still very early in the game. It's still too early to decide, okay, who is really going to shake things up, who is really going to move things around. And we'll just have to observe for now who is going to make that first move that really disrupts the entire game. We can see Hilarious, we can see Dalot placing his two knights next to each other, protecting a lot of squares, especially along the center of the board. Around the center of the board, we can see really good protections on all black and white squares just around the center of the board, which is very useful, especially at this early stage of the game. It's a formation in itself. It's a positional play in itself, but how they are going to be able to use it is going to be interesting. I do expect Hilarious Rook, yes, to be able to come here. And he is going to attempt to capture the rook of Dalot, but Dalot is able to play away from that. And presently we're just seeing a lot of positional holding that is just choking Dalot, and Dalot really doesn't have too much in terms of where to go or how to move, and he's going to have to figure out how he's going to break out of this, because he has his pawn advanced on C5, and he has his knight as well advanced on B6. So this is very advanced positioning that could be deadly to that could be deadly to Dalot's defense, and how Dalot is able to going to play around it is going to be very interesting. I do like the move he's making right now, protecting, trying to take out the knight on b6. I do believe Hilarious would have to capture to be able to still keep that pawn structure that he has set up just behind the offense of Hilarious Rook. So how he's going to be hold that up, it will be interesting. I do expect a direct capture to happen here, but it is chess. He might have other opinions, he might have other options that he wants to make, and it will be very interesting to see how he comes up with that. So Hilarious Hilarious Rook choosing to protect it with his queen. Choosing to protect it with his queen. His queen was previously protecting this pawn on d4, and now the queen has moved rather to b3, protecting the knight on b6. So interesting play there. The knight on f3 still protecting the pawn on d4. So there isn't too much of an issue there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this how all this plays out. And Hilarious Rook would have to come up with something, because time is going. Time in itself is a skill in chess. This is the semi-final, so players are getting 10 minutes to play. But yeah, we can see a lot of back and forth coming off through the offenses of both players. And this knight is crucial to any outcome in this game. And I won't be surprised if Dalot just goes back and forth, checking the queen, trying to just force a stalemate, because the position he has held here is too detrimental to ignore. And Hilarious could be seeing that now. Is he going to just settle for the stalemate, knowing fully well that if Dalot keeps checking his queen back and forth, he won't really be able to do much? Or is he going to come up with another approach? Well, he chooses to come up with another approach, and I do believe that Dalot is going to capture his knight on b6, and then he's going to recapture on b on b6. But that does not happen for some weird reason. Okay, I think he has chosen to rather protect the bishop. I don't know why he's protecting the bishop, because there is an outplay. But yeah, I guess just that tactical play. The both players were not able to come up with anything too significant in terms of movement, and the game ends in a draw. The game does end in a draw because both players did not come up with any significant movement to counter each other's plays. So the first game, I don't know if that first game would hold. I would still have to confirm. But the second game ending in a draw. The third game straight away, Dalot's on white, Hilarious Rook on black. 10 minutes on the board for each player to go against each other and come up with a winner. Who is going to win the first game of the night? Because although still under review, we don't know if the initial game did go on, but we do know that both players now have not won a game where they've played. So both players have not won a game tonight. So who is going to win that first game? That first game of play that involves actual gameplay. Who is going to win it tonight? Will it be Dalot? Will it be Hilarious Rook? Both players are very, very tactical, very, very technical. They are just being calm, being patient with each other. Nobody really penetrating, nobody really disrupting, and it's going to be interesting to see how they come up with their different plays at this particular stage of the game. Who is going to disrupt? Who is going to bring that game changer? It's going to be really really interesting to see what they come up with. Really interesting. So yeah, back and forth between both players. Right now, we can see Dalot trying to disrupt this pawn formation that Hilarious Rook has set again, just like he did in the previous match. He's doing that again. So Dalot this time trying to disrupt that, but Hilarious Rook is also making sure he protects it, and they more or less replicated what each player has done to each other. So what's going to be the next steps? Where is disruption going to come from? Who is going to checkmate? Because we have not seen a checkmate in this game. Up till this point, we have not seen a checkmate. Both players have been very technical, very tact with each other. but nobody has come up with a checkmate. So next steps in the game, it looks like Hilarious Rook would be pushing to gain control around the center. I'm not sure why he did use his knight. I would have said possibly going with the bishop and then just having this pawn come down and then just having the two knights kind of like capture this square and take the center, but he didn't go with that. And right now he has his pawn being threatened, being pinned against his king able to castle, pin fate away. So both players still just being tacked with each other. That's just what we've been seeing from the start of the game to this point. It's just been both players being very, very tacked and very, 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 very calculated against each other. We do expect a castle to happen here at some point in time. The castle is expected to happen here at some point in time. Reason why he sent his pawn and he advanced his pawn by 2 squares. But the moves that are going to trigger that or that are going to incite that, we've not seen them just yet. But we are seeing increased action from both players, especially around the middle of the map, trying to get those knights out, any form of material advantage at this point is going to disrupt the game. That's what I really do believe. I do believe anyone who is able to come up with the moves that gets them that material advantage in the game, I do believe that's going to be significant enough to disrupt the entire gameplay. But presently, it's just calm, it's just calculated, it's just back and forth between both players, and very interesting line of play. What is Hilarious Rook coming up with? Because presently, if he is to capture that knight, this Rook will pin him down and he won't really have much that he can do. So I think he needs to castle as soon as possible. That is the smartest move that Dalot can play. And Dalot does castle. He castles GM Dalot. He castles to kind of like prevent any potential pinning from the rook of Hilarious Rook. So yeah, Hilarious Rook attempting to pin with the rook, but GM Dalot's able to spot that and prevent that. So it's very likely that Hilarious could either be moving his knight out of the way, or protecting the knight, or releasing this knight here so that the bishop can cover the knight. So interesting series of plays, and this is why chess is so fascinating. There are just so many moves that can be made, so many approaches that can just happen just to achieve the same result, and that, I think, that's what makes chess a very fascinating game. And as you can see here, he releases his bishop to protect the knight, and even goes as far as placing double protection on the knight. And this is not the easiest to counter, because anything to threaten the knight here, even with this pawn, is just going to expose a lot of back end. And I'm sure GM Dalot would not be looking for that. So next move is just going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what Dalot comes up with next. My guess is he may be moving his knight to f3. F3 reason being that he can at least disrupt some of the pawn play, some of the knight plays that are going on here. But whether he does choose to take that line of action, let's watch and see. And yes, as calculated, that was the move that eventually got played, and it's up next to Hilarious Rook to make his own interesting plays as well. What parts of the map is he going to move to? Different options, very many options that could bring about different outcomes. But these are the players, these are the grandmasters. I'm not the grandmasters. These are the grandmasters that are coming up with the amazing plays that we are just here to watch and enjoy. And yeah, let's enjoy it and see how it all pans out. Who is going to come up with that move that disrupts the game? Well, is the game just going to end on time? 10 minutes game. Hilarious Rook has already used 5 minutes. Dalot's managing his time very strictly. He still has 7 minutes and 35 seconds on the board. and how they are both going to manage this game is going to be very interesting. As you can see right now, there is a lot of disruptive play. We can see the knight setup with the rook, attempting to take advantage of any slip up that happens in this king square, and just jump on all of that. So we're seeing a lot of offense. We know that this knight is going to come under threat very soon. We know that he is going to unleash this so that this bishop can take this space. And Dalot at this point has to be sharper with how he's going to counter all of this, because one simple mistake, a pawn out of position, king gets exposed. A lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things can go wrong. So Dalot, even though he has the time advantage, has to really use that time to think and come up with decisions that are going to protect him, protect the game, and just ensure that he doesn't have to deal with more damage than he can manage. And presently we're seeing him managing the game well. Both players are managing the game very well, but we can see Hilarious coming with the offenses and Dalot having to play defense. So Dalot being the one who has to come up with the defensive moves, so that all that he plays does not get disrupted in ways that he would not like. But so far, so good. I do see there is this window of opportunity right here for Dalot to take advantage of, maybe expose the king on the back lane. Whether he does that, it would be very interesting to see. So Hilarious Rook versus Dalot, 5 minutes on the clock for Hilarious Rook, 6 minutes 10 seconds for Dalot. What are your predictions? Who is going to come out victorious? Who is going to win? Will it be Hilarious Rook? Will it be Dalot? Who is going to really disrupt the game and force a winner in all of this? Both players very well skilled, very tact, very good with each other, and now they are just going up against each other. And yeah, we're anticipating someone to come up with those winning moves at the end of the day. This a little bit risky from Dalot, as he is exposing his king, but that might just be the move that he needs to disrupt the game overall. And yeah, right now we can see Dalot trying to make more advanced pushes towards this square. So we're seeing more advanced pushes towards the square that is being protected by the bishop, the rook, and the other pawns of Dalot. But with the way Dalot is set up presently, JM Dalot is set up presently, he can launch offenses with these bishops, with the knights, even with the queen. If the queen gets opened up, and then you still have this bishop that could also disrupt as well. And a lot of the moves going on presently are just forcing Hilarious Rook to either step back his knight, as he has done now. And that's going to trigger and incite the next lines of plays. But who is going to come out victorious? That's the question even I can't answer at this point. So 4 minutes 6 seconds on the clock for Hilarious Rook, 5 minutes 13 seconds for GM Dalot, and both players going against each other aggressively. So who is going to come out victorious in this one? I do believe that we might have some other games also ongoing at the moment. Okay, seems we do have. Okay, this is Lata versus Dakots as well, also ongoing. So let's tune into that as well. It's also happening simultaneously, the semi-finals of the high tier leaderboard for the CXM Chess Connect Championships. Just to review, the game just started not too long ago. Zlatan 007 versus Dakot 16 on one screen. On the other screen, we have Hilarious Rook versus GM Dalot. 4 minutes 6 seconds for Hilarious Rook, 4 minutes 11 for Dalot. He is now starting to lose that time advantage. Zlatan, who we all know, a top player, a Nigerian champion, a Nigerian knight in himself, and a really good all-round player, going up against Darkord 16, who is going to come out victorious. Because we can see the game just started, less than a minute from each player. Darkord is just using up the 1 minute mark. Latter 9 minutes 11 seconds on his own clock, and both players strategically positioning themselves to launch offenses. Zlatan not afraid to take risks. You can see his king's square is already opened up, already exposed very early in the game, and you wonder what is he trying to come up with? What is he trying to cook up? And Zlatan taking the game to him very aggressively, and it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out, how it all balls out. And oh my god, Zlatan already taking this game to that course very quickly. Wants to end it as quickly as possible. In terms of error rating, we are seeing Zlatan leading on that. What are the moves that Court is going to make to protect himself right here? He can't do too much. He can't do too much because of the constant excruciating pressure that Zlatan is throwing at him. There isn't too much he can do. In the game of Dalot versus Hilarious Rook, Dalot has captured some material advantage, and I believe he is looking to just advance and close up the game. 2 minutes 90 seconds on the clock for Hilarious Rook, 3 minutes 54 seconds on the clock for Dalot. Both players presently you can just go through the captures that went down. So ninth capture by Dalot, take back by Hilarious Rook, advance by Dalot, and that just gave him the pawn advantage as he captured with his bishop. And we can see more advancing plays from Hilarious Rook, and he may be forced to lose his queen, to trade off his queen for to prevent a potential check from Hilarious Rook. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't take that option. And it's going to be interesting to see the next line of action from Dalot. Does he proceed to check in and trying to force some other moves from Dalot? Let's watch and see. But from Zlatan already has material advantage with a pawn. He is threatening checkmate very early in the game. Not too much in terms of expectations for the courts. He's already being pushed to the wall. He's already under a lot of pressure. Captures the rook of Zlatan. Zlatan captures the rook of Darkord. Darkord would likely retaliate by using his bishop, but that would block off the queen. That would block off the queen, preventing significant plays to advance. And it just looks like Zlatan is going to continue with the mountain of pressure. Is going to continue with the checks, and Darkord needs to come up with something clinical because he's blocking off his queen. There's a lot of pressure on his king side. A lot of the pieces on the board are pointing to pressure on Darkord's side of the map. In the game between Dalot and Hilarious Rook, trades have happened, and we are at the end game for this one, and it does look like Darkord might just lose. Not Dalot might just win on time. We are seeing significant advancements from from the Lords, and very technical game all around. You just can't say who is going to win. You just can't say who is going to clutch the game. And both players just going strongly against each other. Hilarious Rook with 30 seconds on the clock. That's going to see him. That little move there is going to see him lose his pawn. And 3v3. The Lord's choosing to go for the pawns of the chords. Doesn't capture the first pawn, which is rather surprising. I'm not sure why. But there is obvious tackness between both players. Dalot's likely going to capture all three pawns of Hilarious Rook. Hilarious Rook definitely going to lose some material, lose significant material. Dalot has the time, Dalot has the material. This looks like an easy win for Dalot. Hilarious Rook, 7 seconds on the clock. Looks like the perfect opportunity to resign. Dalot already has the pieces, already has the plan, already has the all he needs to win this game, and he's just going straight for the win, advancing his pawn to become a queen, and yeah, doing the job of checking and checkmating Hilarious Rook, and he wins that game. And on to the next game we go. Zlata emerging victorious. Dalcourt just couldn't make a move at that point. He knew by capturing the rook, he blocks his queen from doing anything significant for at least two offenses. There's a lot that just isn't right where he is, and yeah, he was forced to resign by Zlata. So into the next game, they're already into the next game. We look at Hilarious Rook and Dalot. They also are into the next game. Both games starting at pretty much the same time. Zlata already with a game in the bag. Dalot also with a game in the bag as well. And it's going to be interesting to see what Dalot comes up with considering the defeat in the first game. Zlata already advancing pieces into the half of Dalot. Already using this pawn to torment movement around the midway point. Dalot blocking, using this knight here to block his pawn. Like the pawn can't come out because the knight is blocking it. Any movement to release it. And I think what's happening here is that Dalot is setting up a formation that Zlata is already aware of, and Zlata is already doing the much needed to counter all of that. So Dalot, not too many options in terms of what to move and how to move out. But it's still very early in the game. We're not writing off Dalot. Definitely not doing that. He could win this game hands down. But it's going to be interesting to see how he comes up with that. Hilarious Rook versus JM Dalot. Presently no material advantage. Both players taking it calm and easy with each other. A lot of interesting advanced positions from both sides on this one. So how that plays out is going to be interesting. Possible castle here from the courts. That's going to extend the game a little bit because it's going to take time for both players to be able to break down the offenses of each other. But presently we see threats to the queen of Zlata by the knight of Dalot. Zlata definitely going to have to move his queen out of the way. And Dalot looking to continue with the offense and the pressure, and he has the opportunity right now to capture the rooks of Zlata, but Zlata would likely counter by moving one of his rooks, either moving his rook here or positioning it. Okay, the knight can't do much, so it would likely be the rook moving here to offer additional protection. Okay, interesting bit of play. Very interesting play between both players, and yeah, the game just goes on between Hilarious Rook and Dalot. Dalot now has material advantage. Hilarious Rook did emerge victorious in the last game. In this game, we're seeing Dalot come at him, and Dalot having some had some material advantage, but we've seen that fade off as Hilarious Rook has continued with his own offenses and his own attacks. Now we see the defense of Dalot exposed. We go to Zlata, we see Zlata still under pressure, no material advantage just yet. Pieces being moved back and forth, but the game is still going on. Who is going to win in this one? It's going to be very difficult to see the outcome of that. It's going to be very difficult to see the outcome of that. So game on, game still ongoing, and none of the two ongoing players are quitting. Both players are doing very, very well for each other, and it's going to be a really tight and feisty game between Darkot and Zlata, between Hilarious Rook and Dalot. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes off victorious in this one. Both players just giving it a good go between each other. Player. And so let's watch and see. Let's watch and see who is going to come out victorious in this second game. Will it be Zlata? Will it be Darkot? Zlata under a little bit more pressure than what he faced in the first game. The first game was relatively comfortable for him to come out victorious in that one. But in this one, we see Darkot putting up a good fight to pressure him. Hilarious Rook versus GM Dalot, tight game, but it does look like Hilarious Rook will be capturing a rook here. I don't know how this setup happened, but it did happen. So let's go back a little bit. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did happen. And how it did happen is somewhat sloppy from JM Dalot, and yeah, we can see that clearly. A rook will fall. A rook will fall right now, and yeah, Hilarious will go up with some significant material advantage. In the game between Darkot and Zlata, still a very tight game between both parties. Back and forth between both players. Zlata has been able to get some leeway. He has been able to free up his defensive end a little bit, but the outcome still remains very uncertain. Who goes where? Who goes out? Not so much clarity. Not so much clarity on all of that. But both players are taking the game to each other. Zlata, very experienced competitive player. Darkot as well, also a very experienced competitive player. Hilarious Rook versus GM Dalot, still very tightly placed between each other. We can see it does look like Darkot may not be able to sustain himself here. He does have a very large time advantage, but whether he will be able to use that to his advantage, we don't know. We can't say just yet. Dalot's trying to force checkmate, trying to force plays that would favor him. That's what he's doing right now. But yeah, Dalot seems to have it under control. Dalot does have the material advantage. At some point, Dalot will be pushing out, but this sloppy mistake here could see him lose his knight, and that's going to be costly. But he does. It's a knight. It's actually a trade-off. A knight for a knight. Dalot at this point is not scared. He's not scared to lose. To trade off pieces. He has the advantage. He has the pieces to be able to see the game off, and I believe he will do all that he needs to do to see that through. Some interesting plays between Hilarious Rook and Dalot. Who is going to go to the finals? Who is going to go to the finals? From the view of things so far, I think I do believe Dalot, either Dalot or okay. I do believe Dalot has the material, has the win advantage. Zlatan versus Dakots, still very tightly and fiercely contested games. These two players are not letting up for each other. They are not taking their foot off the gas. It's end to end. It's tightly contested between both parties, and we could be seeing some interesting moves. We could be seeing some disruptive moves that could just open up the game at this point in time. How either party is going to use it, it's going to be very interesting to see. So Zlatan versus Dakar still very tightly contested. We've seen Hilarious Rook resign to Dalot. That gives Dalot his second victory of the game. I don't know if that is going to be the end of it. The first game didn't really happen. I believe that was a force. I don't know if it was time, maybe it was network, but it does appear that Dalot has proceeded to the grand finals, and he will be facing the winner between Zlatan 007 and Dakots. So very, very interesting and entertaining game so far. Both players putting in their best, uh, playing to the best of their abilities. And yeah, it's just an interesting matchup all around. Let's look if we do have other games, other ongoing games. Presently, it is just Zlatan versus Dakot still ongoing. Best of three sees Dalot goes straight to the final. Let's look at Zlatan versus Dakot. Who is going to win this game? Zlatan taking victory in the first round. Now we see Zlatan with some material advantage, advancing into the spawn of oof. And that was a very beautiful counter from Zlatan there. A very beautiful counter from Zlatan. But he is going to have to come up with something special to be able to fully. And yes, it has happened. Zlatan now has material advantage of pawns and a knight and a bishop. But can Dakot cook with his rook? Can he do that? It doesn't look so much possible. Zlatan is going to move to this position to be able to force. Okay, he doesn't move to that position, but Dakot doesn't have so much he can do. There just isn't so much that Dakot can do at this stage of the game. So what is going to be the series? What are going to be the series of plays from both players here? I do believe Dakot will be moving his rook to e5. That does look like the likely play from him. Probably rook from e1 to e5 to be able to threaten the pawn of Dakot, and then I think that would win him some material advantage with the pawn. But he doesn't go that direction, surprisingly. Instead, he chooses to go this direction. I'm guessing he's going to now threaten this, but the king is just going to come back. And yeah, it is messy. It is a little bit messy. Not too much in terms of outplays and moves that can really help him to advance in the game. So Nakot is just looking at the map, and I think he may want to force a stalemate, knowing fully well that there isn't too much he can do to disrupt. If he is to, and I believe this is going to help. This is going to help him here, but if he does this, he moves here, and that just helps his game even further. So what moves did these guys play? Game of chess, the tactical game of chess, and nobody can say what is going to happen where. It's just back to back between both players, and here we're going to see that court capture the pawn of Zlatan. But what else does he come up with? Does he move to this square? Rather, he chooses to protect to advance pawn, and yeah, we're seeing some threats. This would be helpful. He probably could have moved there earlier. I felt instead of moving his king, he could have moved his rook here, and that would have helped him to capture the pawn. But he did not do that. I don't know why the court chose not to do that, but that would have helped him in capturing this pawn. But yeah, the game goes on. The court 50 seconds on the clock. Zlatan 2 minutes 49 seconds on the clock with material advantage. Both players grinding for who makes it to the finals. Will the grand finals be Zlatan, or can the court come up with something to just force his way back into the game? Who is going to make it to the grand finals with Dalot already emerging victorious, GM Dalot already emerging victorious, proceeding to the grand finals? For this one, will it be Zlatan or will it be Dalot? Who is going to push to the grand finals? Who is going to advance? Remains to be seen, promises to be interesting, but so far not too much. So who makes the moves that disrupt the game? Who makes those moves? Who makes those all important moves that disrupt the game? 6 seconds on the clock for that court. Looks like he won't be going to the finals. Zlatan, winner of this best of 3 matchup, he proceeds to the grand finals, and he is victorious in this round. So grand finals is going to be Zlatan versus GM Dalot, as both players have ended their respective rounds. And although before then we may be seeing the semi-finals for the low tier, this is the high tier bracket. Low tier up next between Strange Strategy and Effects. So we are waiting for that game to begin. Yes, we do have the link to that matchup, and that matchup will be starting now. It will be starting now between Maskman 77 and Chuzai. So Maskman 77 versus Chuzai. Game probably already in progress. Black is victorious. White resigned. But it does appear for this one, Chuzai has already won the game. Chuzai already in the grand finals. I believe the next game now that we would be expecting is between Strange Strategy and Effect. So for the low tier, Chuzai has made his way to the grand finals, and he would be joined by the winner between Strange Strategy and Effects. Chuzai already in the grand finals. We await the game between Strange Strategy and Effects to decide who is going to join him for the grand finals. So for the high tier, we have GM Dalot versus Zlatan 007. For the low tier, we have Chuzai, and he would face the winner between Strange Strategy and Effects. So we await that game, although we may proceed with the grand finals for the high tier. but we await players setting up. We await the conclusion of the low tier game between Strange Strategy and Effects, but no follow up on that yet. So, pending then, let's just enjoy some music. Enjoy the music, and yeah, we'll be back shortly. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We will be resuming with the games, particularly with the second semi-final game for the low tier championship between Mark Chinedum and Bentos. So it's Mark Chinedum versus Bentos. Mark Chinedum no B versus Bentos B. Bentos B playing with white, Mark Chinedum playing with black, and both players going at it against each other. Game just started, no material advantage, but we can see Mark Chinedum already dropping the pieces and just holding significant positions against Bentus. But he's going to be pushed back, very well pushed back by Mark Chinedum. By Bentus. Bentus not going for him, looking to continue the advancements into the finals. And yes, whoever wins this goes straight to the finals, and we can see pushback. We can see strong, significant pushback from Bentus. Will he be able to leverage that a little bit more to be able to take down Mark Chinedum? He's looking to advance pawns very early in the game, looking to get a lot of positional advantage to continue the attack so far. But it's going to be interesting to see how both players are able to manage the situation, how they're able to go against each other, how they're able to go at each other. You can see threats to the knight of Mark Chinedum by the pawn of Bentus, which has very well advanced into into the half of into the half of into the half of Martinedu. I do see some really promising moves, yes, and that was one of them. Bento's doing well to open up that rook, but will he be able to do more? There is significant threat to this pawn, and I'm surprised that Martinedu has not made the move to take this. Yeah, I'm finally he does take it, and now he's threatening the bishop and also threatening the pawn. So why? Okay, that trade was a little bit interesting. Trading off, trading off a, trading off a knight, I believe. Was it a knight? Yeah, trading off a knight for a rook. I did not see that coming, but that did happen from Bentus, and could that be costly? Martinidum in this case can just continue his advance, and I believe he should be able to do very well. And yeah, Bentus at this point, it's clear that he has been disrupted, and yeah, Martinidum should be able to see this game through, although definitely not going to come easy, but it is happening, and the signs so far are not in favor of they are not in favor of Bentus. So I believe Martinez should be able to see this game to the end. He should be able to see this game through. It does look very interesting setup. Very interesting setup. This game is certainly not over yet. Even though it's in the favor of Bentos, it's certainly not over just yet. He should be able to see this. Yes, he does. Forces the check. Would force him to come back into this space. And this could be checkmate. Yeah, this is definitely checkmate. So checkmate from Martinedum wins him the first game of the night. It's 1-0. Surprisingly, oh, there is still now it should be checkmate. So yes, Martinedum wins the first game of the night against Bentus. It's a best of 3. 1-0 to Martinedum. Good game from him. He does well to get the first victory, and he will be. And now we await the second game. Winner, if Martinedum wins the second game, he proceeds to the grand finals for the low tier rankings. If Bentus wins the second game, he proceeds. He would be forcing a third place playoff between he and Martinedum. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins the next game, who is going to the final. Will it be Martinedum versus Chuzai, or will it be Bentos versus Chuzai? Martinedum needs one more win to force to make the final against Chuzai. For the high tier, it is Latar versus GM Dalot for the grand finals. These are really exceptional and excellent players, and they are doing very well against each other. And so we look forward to the second game between both parties, between Bentos and Martinez. I'm not sure exactly what is going on as to why the second game has not begun, but so far so good. Whoever wins this matchup will be facing Chuzai in the grand finals. But for some weird reason, the second round hasn't begun yet. High tier finals already on their way between Zlata and Dalot. So high tier finals, let's tune into the high tier finals between Zlata and Dalot. These two players have done very well for themselves, from competing from a roster of 20 top tier players and now to making it to the grand finals. Game is on their way. 3 minutes in. No material advantage from either side. GM Dalot versus Latar. It looks like GM Dalot has some level of advantage in this one, but too early to call. Still too early to call. But both players are nicely set up, and any mistake is just going to see the game turn around. As for Bentus and Martin Edum, we can see Bentus in black, Martin Edum white, and the game is going on nicely between both parties. I do believe the queen would be involved in this stage, but no, the queen is not getting involved, and Bentus will be able to capture a pawn, and he has a pawn advantage, but he loses that shortly. And I feel Bentus is is heavily exposed, and he does need. I would recommend he probably castles, because he will be looking at this pawn and thinking, oh, this is an easy pawn, but there's just so much that isn't set up well for him, and it all just looks to be favoring yeah, Martin Edum right now. But it's still very early in the game to call, too early in the game to call. Will there be captures from both parties? Very interesting matchups. Very, very interesting matchups. He could capture this, but that may see the end of his knight. Would that force away his knight? Does look like it. Does look like it. Nah, that wasn't the right piece to move, because the queen is going to move here. Can't really move. Interesting back and forth between Bentus and Martinelli. But let's proceed to Zlatan and Dalot. Dalot playing very, very well right now. Very, very well. Very, very well. He's in the half of Zlatan. Zlatan somewhat pinned in. And not too much he can really do. But he's fairly well set up and should be able to get himself out of these tight angles and these tight corners. But the game is still on. It looks like he should be able to get a pawn. I'm surprised he's not going for the pawn. Fairly surprised he isn't. Probably in fear of the king threatening him a little bit here. But he does have good security at the moment. Zlatan does have good security. But how long that would last for, can't really say. But it's a tight game between both players. Martin Edum looks like he is en route to his second victory of the game. He has material advantage of a bishop, but not without threats at this point in time, as Bentus is looking to fight his way back, but it does seem Martin Edum has the much needed advantages to be able to see the game through, to be able to see the game off. Surprisingly, looks like he's taking that risky decision of pushing for a check. And this is going to be costly to Bentus. It is going to be very costly to Bentus at this point, because there isn't so much that Bentus can really do. Surprisingly, he does not capture the pawn here. I'm very surprised he doesn't do that. we expect a check from Bentus on C1, which would likely force Chinedum to H2, which is a bit of a safe haven. How this game is going to end looks like it's going to be a very interesting one. This is going to be a very interesting one. I feel at this point, Martinez can just advance to see the game through. But Zlatan and that Lord still the first game, and nobody is budging. Nobody is budging. This is a very, very tough matchup for Zlatan at the moment. I don't think he expected this level of difficulty. But Bentus versus Martinez, this game is actually very interesting, and I think it's interesting because both players don't have an outplay. Both players still very close to each other, making their respective moves, forcing respective outcomes, and I do believe Martinez should be able to capture the bishop. Oh my god, that's a very sloppy play, although no consequences attached. Martinez looking to force and he's looking to advance to the end of the board. Both players have done very well, but it does look like Martinez would be the one to advance to the final. For Dalot versus Latta, there is just no telling yet. Latta on white, Dalot on black, and there's just no telling who is going to emerge victorious just about yet. Just about yet, there is no telling. But it does look like Zlatan has been able to get significant material advantage. And Zlatan has been able to capture 2 additional pawns, and he will be looking to use that to get the first win of the game. And yes, the capture of those pawns forces Dalot to resign, and Zlatan is victorious in game 1. How do you stop Zlatan? It looks like he's just going to progress and go on and on to win this game once again. Can Dalot fight back? Can he come up with a counter? Can he do something to change the narrative of the game? Very interesting game. But who is going to emerge victorious? At this stage of the game, it does look like Mark Chinedum is going to come out victorious. He has pinned in the rook of Bentus, and it looks like Bentus will be losing this one. Mark Chinedum will be proceeding to the grand finals, and Bentus will be forced into a defeat in this game. He has played well. He has done very well, but this game is just not his. This game is just not his. As Martinez looks to force the end of the game, And I think he should be able to do this with the rook here. That's checkmate. And Mark Chinedum will be going to the grand finals of the low tier round. But here we continue to watch the grand finals of the high tier round between Zlata and GM Dalot. Game still very early. Zlata on black, GM Dalot on white. Good players still battling it out, still going up against each other. It's a best of 5 between Zlata and GM Dalot. Zlata taking game 1, game 2 presently ongoing. Who is going to emerge victorious between these two really top players? We just have to respect the quality of these players. They are really good players, and they are doing so well for themselves in these championships to be able to push each other. Basically, I believe Zlatan, he has faced a lot of tough opponents, but I don't think he expected one in the form of Dalot this evening. And Dalot giving him real fight for the money, real battle for what he's worth. And it should be interesting to see how all of this pans out. Zlatan on black, Dalot on white. Dalot's looking to get things moving very early in the game. Zlatan as well looking to get things moving as quickly as possible. And here we see Zlatan doing well just to push back the offenses of Dalot, push back his bishop. But Dalot does have really good positioning at this stage. You can see Dalot trying to force Zlatan to abandon ship with his knight, but Zlatan is not letting. And I do believe he should be able to do something here. But Zlatan still will be able to counter. He would be able to counter all of this, especially at this early stage. To likely be the pawn. The pawn of Zlatan would likely come out here to protect the knight, to protect his knight. Dalot doing well to just apply the pressure, sustain the pressure, just keep Zlatan on his toes, basically. And Zlatan is being kept on his toes. He is being disrupted. He is being disturbed by the offenses of Dalot. But eventually, tempo does come to an end, and Dalot has to retreat a little bit. But the pressure is still there. The pressure is still there. Not so much that can be done, but a lot is being done. This move, this bishop right here, doing a great job of just pinning down the knight of Zlatan, and the knight already pinned down by the bishop, threatening the queen. So the knight is under really difficult. He's under a lot of stress and a lot of threats. And we can see Zlatan now looking to force his way back. But it's also technical. You can't say which direction it's going to, or which direction it will go to. You just see difficulty, and you know that these guys are giving it a good go against each other, and that's all that really matters at this stage. But here we see Zlatan threatening the queen of Dalot. Dalot moves his queen up to the f5 part of the board. But what these players are going to come through with, we do not know. We only see. And so far, so good between both parties. They have given it a go against each other. And I was expecting a threat move from Dalot on the other side, but he saw something else on the other part of the map. But what is going to happen? Zlatan is facing a lot of threat, a lot of pressure in a very short time space. We see check from Zlatan. will this have a deadly outcome? You know the queen, if he captures the queen, is going to come here. And once the queen comes there, he retreats. But it's what happens next that is very difficult to know. His knight does not have much of an outplay. So is this stalling? Is this sacrificing? It doesn't look like he can do too much here. His rook, there is no opening here for Zlatan to use his rook. But surprisingly, he does not capture, and I'm wondering why. I'm really wondering why he refused to capture. I feel he could have captured, but maybe if he did capture, he is going to see, is it the queen or the pawn? Can't say. I must say I'm surprised he didn't capture. I must say I'm very surprised. Was it fear? Could Dalot have captured right here? Could he have captured the bishop of Zlatan? What happens if he doesn't capture the queen? Yeah, maybe the queen comes here, but if the queen comes there, he can retreat. The only thing is it opens up his defense, but he still has a good enough defense to be able to sustain himself. So it's all very surprising as to why he didn't capture the bishop of Zlatan. It's all very, very surprising, but yeah, everything has a reason. And presently the game continues, the game goes on. Pressure from Dalot, pressure from Zlatan. But why did Dalot not capture the bishop of Zlatan? Could he have, was Zlatan fluking? Was he playing games with him? Was there something else he could have done? Was there something different he could have done? Only time will tell. Maybe there were some grandmaster moves that he couldn't have avoided, but nonetheless we see continuing pressure from Zlatan. We see continuing pressure from Dalot as well. The game can take any direction at this stage, and it's up to both parties to work out how they are going to see the game through. Zlatan already has enough protecting the knight, no need to triple on that. So is there something different that can be done at this stage? Is there something different that isn't being seen? There is enough pressure at this stage, but is there something else that can be done by Dalot or Zlatan to unlock respective attacks from both players? As for Bentus, Martinedum has made it to the grand finals. Bentus has been knocked out, and Martinedum will play Chuzai in the grand finals tonight, which will be starting very, very soon. Very, very soon between both parties. But for now, we are seeing the game between Zlatan we're seeing the game between Zlatan and Dalot taking a very, very different direction, but Dalot is coming under pressure. He is beginning to see the game unravel right before his face, and the decisions that he take are going to be so instrumental in determining the outcome of this game. If he is able to take them, we can see Zlatan is just thinking of how to finish him and just end the game very quickly. I believe that's what Zlatan is looking at, but Dalot is also looking at ending the game very quickly. So the outcome just isn't predictable. Who is going to move things? Who is going to shake things? Who really has that brain busting move that is going to turn all the game around? Who is going to make those moves? Is it going to be Dalot? Is it going to be Zlatan? The game is too tight to call, too close to gamble on, too close to play around with, and we just can't say a winner is going to emerge. The third place playoff for the high tier is also ongoing presently. We can tune into that now. Third place playoff between Dark Chords and Hilarious Rook. Ongoing presently. Game just started about 3 minutes ago. Dark Chords versus Hilarious Rook. Hilarious Rook already facing check. But it does look like it should be an easy recapture for Dark Chords. Sorry, for Hilarious Rook. Dark Chords checking him. I do believe it should be an easy capture. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. But so far so good. It should work out in the favor of Hilarious Rook. And he does have some material advantage. Both players still very early in the game. Let's tune back to Zlatan versus JM Dalot. We're seeing threats, we're seeing captures, we are seeing pressure all around. Here we see check, and we do see material advantage being captured by Dalot. The pawn he lost, he should be able to capture it back. We capture it back here. But Zlatan is there. And it's you don't see this, like, oh my god, what was this? He did not see this coming. When he put the check out, he just did not see this coming. And you just see the whole game just unravels. He has no, how do you do this? No, Zlatan, how do you do this? Like, he has his rook set up here, bishop set up here. This could be checkmate right now. This not that this could be checkmate. This is checkmate. And there isn't too much that his queen can do about it. There just isn't too much that his queen can do about it. Dalot is going to lose significant material advantage, and there is very little he can do about that. Best he probably can do is to bring his queen here, forfeit his knight. But he does come up with a counter, and that is a really beautiful counter. That is a really beautiful counter from Dalot. And these guys are really busting my head in this game. I am not seeing a lot of these moves. I am not seeing it, honestly. But they are seeing it, and they are making it, and it's just so exciting to watch. And it's just class from these players, from this set of players. It really is just class from this set of players. The bishop will fall, and yeah, that should see the end of the game for Dalot. But a very well played game, but Zlatan just proving to be too good. There are just so many amazing moves that you can't just tell how he comes up with them. But you do know he is a master of the game. He really is a master of the game. GG's to Zlatan taking his second win of the game. And if you are Dalot, you are just wondering, you are just asking, how do I win this? How do I beat this player? How do you take him down? Basically, it's just so complicated, so hard. So, like, life is hard, but Zlatan is harder. Like, you just can't take face Zlatan. Life is hard. Zlatan is harder, and for me, this guy deserves massive respect for the consistency in his games and in his prowess of just this this what's the word of just distorting the entire field. There's a word I'm looking for. It's not coming to mind right now, but what these guys are coming up with, it is no small feat. Between Hilarious Rook and Dark Chords, game still ongoing. Dark Chords has significant material advantage. Not so significant. It's still a very tightly contested game. Both parties, none with anything too significant to say they have the game on chokehold. But we see Zlatan versus GM Dalot on black, Zlatan on white. And yeah, they just keep going at it. They keep going at it against each other. And Dalot's very tricky game. It's a very, very tricky game. Because Latta, he calculates so many moves ahead that you think you have him, but you just don't have him. Just when you think, oh, I've caught this guy, I've got this guy, he just comes up with something that you just weren't expecting, and he's just ahead of you. And that's just the kind of person that Latta is, and he's doing very well. He's doing very well in this game, and he's winning. He's winning quite nicely. Hilarious Rook versus Dakot. Dakot. Still a lot of back and forth between both players. But we can clearly see Dakot making some really good plays. I'm more or less saying to Hilarious Rook, whatever you can do, I can do better. And it has been exciting so far between both parties. Game has been taking neck in neck. Hilarious Rook, the chords, both players doing quite nicely. But who is going to win? That remains unknown. Zlatan versus JM Dalot. A very tactical game, and it looks like JM Dalot is going to get some really good material advantage. He is going to capture. He's looking to capture the queen of. How do you hold down Zlatan? Like, how do you hold down Zlatan? How do you hold him down? Like, just look at this. Just look at this. He moves thinking he's going to capture a rook. And just there, the knight is forcing the queen backwards so that he also can capture a rook. How do you make that up? How do you make it up? How do you make it up? How do you counter that basically? How do you do that? How do you do that? Next move from Zlatan will probably be, can't see where the next move is going to be, because you just know that this knight is destined and is primed to come to this space. Just primed to come to that space, and there is a lot that can still be done. There's a lot that can still happen, but there are just so many moves and counter moves that you ask yourself, how is this going to work out for Dalot? What is his plan? Because we can see what he's trying to do, trying to take the game to Zlatan by capturing either of his queen or his rook. But Zlatan is just one step ahead. He's just one step ahead, and I'm not sure Dalot really prepares for that. But we can see it play out. We can see it happen, but we can't stop it. You just can't stop it, honestly, and it's just really, really amazing from both sides. Zlatan versus GM Dalot. Let's tune into Hilarious Rook versus Dakot. So far, so good. But it does look like Dakot is stuck. It does look like he's stuck, but I don't think he's going to do that. He does take that. And it could be expensive because 4 moves is all Dakot needs to advance. Hilarious Rook needs 5. Or what is going to happen here? What is going to happen here? Dakot versus Hilarious Rook. Dakot looking to advance his pawn to the 8th flank. it looks on track to do that. But Hilarious Rook with 56 seconds on the clock looks like he's running out of time. Zlatan versus Dalot. Dalot has done fairly well, but not too much, not too much in terms of changing the game. Hmm. But it does look like Darkot has gotten the hold on Hilarious Rook. He has been able to advance his pieces, he has been able to protect some of his pawns, and it is going to be check for a queen for surprisingly, but Hilarious Rook still ends up victorious based on time, and he wins the first round of this for the best of three matchup. Zlatan versus Dakot. Zlatan forced into resignation, which means that the GM Dalot has emerged victorious in this game, and it is 1-1. It is 1-1 between both parties. So it's 2-1 now. 2-1 now. Zlatan 2 wins. GM Dalot 1 win. It's a best of 5 matchup. Zlatan, if he does win the next game, okay, I'm not sure that game will be counted. But let's wait and see. While in the second game of the best of 3 matchup between Hilarious Rook and Dark Odds, game going on nicely. Do enjoy the music for now. The game is still going on. We will just be taking a short audio break, but the game will go on. Oh, yes. Okay, so the game is still going on good between both parties. Going on good between Hilarious Rook and Darkods for third place playoffs. Darkods winning the first game. For Zlatan, I'm not sure what is going on presently. I do not know why my game isn't loading the actual gameplay, even though the game is going on. I can't seem to engage into it or understand if both players are not showing up. Let me just communicate with the team to know how that's going. So Hilarious Rook versus Darkord still ongoing. finals is a best of 5, but I'm not sure why both players have stopped after the second game. So the low tier matchup will be postponed till tomorrow. Yes, today is the grand finals. Low tier matchup grand finals will not be happening today for technical reasons, but the finals will go on between the third place playoffs will go on, whilst the grand finals between Zlata and GM Dalot is ongoing presently. So not particularly sure why there is a bit of start and stop to the games, but for some reason we just have to observe and see how how all of that pans out and plays out. But so far so good. Best of 5 matchup between Zlata and GM Dalot is still ongoing. Zlata will go for the fourth game. I believe the fourth game presently is set to go on. It's 2-1 between both parties. It will resume when GM Dalot comes back online. Zlata is available, but that game will not go on just yet, as both parties are still going neck and neck against each other. But so far, so good. You can see that Chords has now gotten material advantage in the form of 2 pawns. And it does look set to continue the onslaught, to continue the offense, to continue the attacks. But we do see a lot of pressure coming on the side of Hilarious Rook. Hilarious Rook is coming under pressure. Dakot, I believe, has won the last 2 games. And Hilarious Rook is looking to get... Okay, Dakot won the first game. Hilarious Rook is looking to get a win back. And I'm not sure there's so much he can really do at this stage of the game. But both players are still going neck and neck. They are still going back man on man against each other. Threats on threats. And from what we see, there is fire on the mountain for Hilarious Rook as Dakot is beginning to launch significant offenses to take on his defense. His Rook is well advanced. His knight his bishop is also somewhat advanced. And it is not looking cozy for Hilarious Rook in any way. As the pressure continues to go on, the pressure continues to mount. And Hilarious Rook is just not having so many options in terms of stopping the attacks and the offenses of Dakot. Dakot just seem to have him in a chokehold presently. And there aren't too many outfield moves that can be made by Hilarious Rook presently. But just as there aren't too many for Hilarious Rook, that's the same way there are some limitations for for the courts as well. So how they both play around it is going to be interesting. It is going to be very, very interesting. Not sure what this was is intended to achieve. But it would force something here. I do believe that that is the intended play. Not particularly sure why I didn't do that earlier. But there are so many plays that can just go the way of the court presently, and he is opening up the defense of Hilarious Rook, and Hilarious Rook doesn't have too many answers. Hilarious Rook does not have the answers he needs, and the court is just applying pressure upon pressure upon pressure to Hilarious Rook, and there isn't too much he can do about that. He is pinned in, he's tucked in, his queen is locked off, his queen will probably have to retreat, but retreating, which may seem like an opening, is actually just going to close him off, choke him off. But again, it's too, you just can't call the game. But look at the rook of Hilarious Rook. His rook has been locked off in this box. He just cannot move. The rook just cannot move. His rook is trapped. His bishop now just trying to force an opening. But this could more or less be checkmate. This looks so much like checkmate. This is checkmate right now. Check, forces him backwards and mates. And Hilarious Rook loses the second game to the court, and the court is well on track to finish third place in this CXM chess leaderboard series. Zlata versus GM Dalot. Does look like Zlata might have edged away with this one. Will the game still go on? Yes, it does look like strange strategies is available now to continue with the grand finals. I do believe it should be a best of 5. Okay, so third place is best of 3, and that means that the court has emerged victorious in this third place matchup. For the grand finals of the high tier between Zlatan and GM Dalot did disconnect, attempting to reconnect back now so that the final set of games, the last game or the last 2 games, can go on. Presently, it is 2-1 between Zlatan and GM Dalot. Zlatan needing one more win from the best of 5 to emerge victorious. GM Dalot needs to pull 2 wins back to back to force a comeback against Zlatan. And presently we await the procession of that game. We can confirm that GM Dalot is online. But as for whether the game will go on now, that is what we do await. But we do believe the game will be going on very, very soon. So Zlatan doing so well. He has won all our championships. In fact, all our championships, except the one he didn't participate in. That is the only championship he has not won that has been organized by CXM Chess Connect. So it's just huge how good a player he is, and it will be interesting to see who in the whole of Nigeria will be able to challenge him, because presently there just seems to be no one, except maybe Tunde or Nokoya, who turns out to be his boss. So that just tells you the level of the really high level of quality that he is playing at, and the very few number of people that can really challenge him in the grand scheme of things. He really is that good. He really is that good. So Yes, so we will be continuing with the games. We do have two games, which is the third place, I believe, third place matchup for the low tier. Well, I'm not sure about the grand finals for the low tier, but we do know that grand finals for the high tier will be resuming very soon. Pending then, let's just enjoy some fine music, and we will be right back. Yes, we have resumed with the grand finals between Plata and GM Dalot. GM Dalot needs 2 wins to complete a comeback and emerge victorious in this championship against Plata. Plata needs 1 more win to receive the crown and emerge as the victor. Who is it going to be? The game is on, the pressure is on, and it's Plata on white, GM Dalot on black. And both players, as usual, taking it who comes out but so far so good. So far, very, very good from both sides. Defenses are up, particularly with the queens and the bishops, blocking a lot of spaces on the white square, preventing unauthorized movement within the map. The pawns blocking the pawns on the white of white blocking the black spaces, the bishop and the queen of white blocking the white spaces. It's a very, very well set out structure. Which is going to be made victorious. That is what we wait to see. That really is what we wait to see. So you can't tell who is going to make the decisive moves. Just know someone there, and this is the confirmation of Jane Dalot just being tossed around by his laughter, and how he's going to hold all of that up. We wait and see, watch and see. Possibly a castle at this stage, just to have the rate up against the bishop, but presently we do see some moves. But it's so interesting, you just can't predict or foretell how the game is going to go. Just can't, no matter how interesting it all looks. But it's, from this, you can see that the bishop has been pinned back, and so I have to the king does have some level of breathing space. very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a lot just happening in a very short space of time. Between both players, is there a counter? Is there something different? It's just a very interesting game. Sometimes you can only watch and spectate and wait for things to happen because predicting the outcome, predicting who is going to make more, it's not always fit. But you can see the rook of Zlatan just positioned to pin down the queen. But it does look like he's going to bring this out eventually. But you have the queen also protecting that piece. You have the bishop also protecting it. It's just really good strategic play from Zlatan. And there aren't too many counters out there. But can Cxmmunity force a game 5 between he and Zlatan? Will we be able to force that? Okay, sincere apologies for the continuously playing music. That has been turned off now, and yeah, we can continue with spectating the game. It is Cxmmunity versus Zlatan. Queens have been traded out, and the offenses continue to play out. So what are the next series of moves going to be like? I don't know. I believe Cxmmunity would likely make this move, or Zlatan would make the move to capture his bishop. But this is interesting. This is really interesting. Really, really interesting. Why would Zlatan throw away his bishop for I do not understand the move that has just been made. Oh wow. And again Zlatan how again Zlatan right now threatening the rook of Cxmmunity, and Cxmmunity just left with very little to work with. We do know he's going to capture this, but I do feel Cxmmunity has some outplay with how we can move his pieces. Very likely outcomes. But just when you think you have them, you don't. Just when you think you have him, you just don't. This is just if I were Cxmmunity, this is just messy. It's just messy because there are so many things that you are just looking out for. Like look at this now. You have two rooks coming down at you. Okay, you decide to protect the f8 square. He moves his rook to f7. If he moves his rook to f7, there isn't so much. The pawn is going. Okay, you decide to protect the pawn, and then the pawn at the back is also set up. So you are losing a pawn. He's going to protect his pawn eventually. If he is able to get out, there isn't much leeway. He likely won't be able to capture this because by the time he has been threatened and the back and forth have happened, it just won't be able to get out. So it's just a series of dicey plays that just has a lot choked up, put in a chokehold basically. And will he be able to come out of this? Will he be able to break out of it? He should be able to. there are some positive moves you can make, but it's beyond material advantage. It's beyond just capturing an extra piece. It's beyond all of that, and I think that's just what makes really good chess players really good. They see the things that you just don't see. Like see the outplay. This, sometimes you don't see these things. You just see it happen. If you watch chess in the moment against grandmasters, you are not going to you're only going to enjoy the game. You're not going to understand it, and that's just something I've noticed about really good players. The game is just enjoyable. It's not understood. You can do your best to understand it, but at the end of the day, you're just a mere spectator. And these guys, they just do the best. They just make the best of moves and do the best of things. And these are really good players. And proof, I just can't predict their games. Excellent from all sides. Really excellent from all sides. And these guys are really, really good players. Really good players. So presently, we should be seeing this happen. He, in the process of attempting to protect, we did that move here. Okay. Yep. So 1 second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. And it does appear that Zlatan once again has emerged victorious. He has pinned down GM Dalot, beating him 3-1 in the grand finals, and he will proceed. And once again, Zlatan is the champion of the CXM Chess Championships. The high tier edition, he has conquered, he has dominated, and he has seen the game to the end. And big cheers to Zlatan, big congrats to him. He is the winner, he is victorious, and he is the CXM Chess Grandmaster. And GM Dalot, unfortunately, has been beaten and he has been knocked out. And he will take second place, while Zlatan emerges first place. So, with that said, I do believe that is our last fixture of the night. It is GG's, and Zlatan has emerged victorious against Strange Strategy. So, with that said, I would like to wish everybody a great night. The grand finals for the low tier will be rescheduled, but this is the finals for the streams, and this is the finals for the high tier. And Zlatan is the grand champion of the CXM Chess Nigerian Championships. So, wishing everybody a great night, and see you all very soon again.